everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. You know we love to go dep on the most cutting-edge tech and trends in the crypto space, and today is no exception.
Definitely some exciting stuff to talk about today.
So today we're looking at how decentralized finance, or DeFi as we all know it, is about to get a massive boost from, you guessed it, artificial intelligence.
Right, AI, it's everywhere these days, and now it's making its mark on DeFi.
We've got this really cool academic paper. It's called Future Decentralized Finance, DeFi and Artificial Intelligence AI, a prospective approach.
Kitschy title.
I know, right? But the paper itself is even more fascinating. It lays out some seriously mind-blowing predictions about how these two powerful forces, DeFi and AI, are going to reshape, well, pretty much everything about finance. We're talking about, imagine investment strategies that are optimized in real time by these super smart AI algorithms.
Yeah, constantly adapting to the market.
Or think about AI that can actually spot vulnerabilities in smart contracts before they even become a problem. That would be huge.
It would be game-changing for security in DeFi.
And then, even more mind-blowing, the paper talks about how AI could help bring financial services to people who've never even had access before.
Yeah, the potential for financial inclusion is enormous.
So, are you ready to dive in?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Okay, so right off the bat, the paper throws out this term, autonomous finance. Basically, they're saying that DeFi and AI together could lead to financial platforms that pretty much run themselves.
Like on autopilot.
Pretty much. Imagine platforms making decisions in real time based on all sorts of factors like market trends, individual user needs, risk assessments, all of it.
So kind of like the next level of what we're seeing now with things like robo-advisors and algorithmic trading, but on a much grander scale.
Exactly. And powered by AI, of course.
Huh.
So I was wondering, what are the actual building blocks to make this autonomous finance thing a reality?
Well, the paper breaks it down into a few key areas. First, you've got AI's ability to just crunch massive amounts of data and find those hidden patterns that we humans often miss. This could be applied to everything from, predicting market movements to assessing risk in those DeFi protocols.
So instead of relying on gut feelings or limited historical data, these AI systems are constantly learning, evolving, and adapting to the decentralized finance landscape.
Precisely. It's like having a financial advisor who can analyze millions of data points in a split second.
Sounds pretty amazing, but let's get real for a second. Handing over control of our finances to AI completely, that seems, I don't know, a bit risky. What about the potential downsides? What if the AI makes a bad call?
You're right, there are definitely risks to consider, and the paper does address this. One concern they highlight is that these autonomous systems could potentially make decisions that are unexpected, maybe even harmful, particularly if they encounter a situation that they haven't been programmed to handle. Think of it like those self-driving cars, right? They're great until they run into something they don't recognize.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean.
So it seems like we've got some work to do before we just hand over the keys to the AI, so to speak.
Agreed. It's like we need to make sure these AI systems are super robust and reliable, beyond a shadow of a doubt, before we entrust them with our hard-earned crypto.
Absolutely. And the paper really stresses that. They talk about the need for rigorous testing and development of AI algorithms and how important it is to establish clear regulatory frameworks to address all these new challenges.
Makes sense. So maybe autonomous finance is a bit further down the road, but the paper also digs into a bunch of really cool ways AI can enhance DeFi platforms right now, like today.
Right. There's a lot of potential for immediate impact.
Yeah, one that really caught my eye is the concept of dynamic smart contracts. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, so right now, most smart contracts, they're basically static. They're set up with these predetermined rules, and they don't really adjust to changes in the market or anything. But imagine a loan agreement, let's say, that could automatically change its interest rates based on real-time economic data. That's the kind of thing dynamic smart contracts powered by AI could do.
So it's like a living, breathing contract that's constantly evolving and responding to the market.
Exactly. And the paper suggests AI could analyze all sorts of external data feeds, like, inflation rates, market volatility, maybe even stuff like social media sentiment, to determine when these adjustments should happen.
Wow. So can you give us a real-world example of how this could play out?
Sure. Let's say you take out a loan using a DeFi platform that uses these dynamic smart contracts. If the economy suddenly tanks and the value of your collateral drops, the contract could automatically adjust the terms of the loan to prevent you from getting liquidated.
That would be amazing. It would offer borrowers so much more flexibility and protection during those wild market swings we all know and love.
Right. The paper argues that this kind of dynamic, AI-powered approach could make DeFi way more attractive to a much wider range of users. I mean, even people who are a little hesitant about traditional finance might be more open to trying it out.
For sure. This brings us to another really exciting idea the paper explores. It's all about how AI could totally revolutionize personalized finance within DeFi. They seem to think AI could make financial services accessible and tailored to everyone's individual needs, even for folks who are locked out of traditional banking.
Yeah, that's a really powerful idea. The paper talks about how AI could analyze things like your transaction history, how much risk you're comfortable with, and what your financial goals are, all to recommend personalized products and services. Like, imagine getting access to microloans, insurance policies, investment opportunities that are specifically designed for you.
It's like having a 247 personal financial advisor, but one that's available to anyone with an internet connection.
Exactly. And they think this could be particularly impactful for people in developing countries or communities that are underserved by traditional financial institutions.
So how would this actually work? Would we need to build whole new DeFi platforms from scratch?
Not necessarily. The paper suggests that AI could be integrated into existing platforms or used to create new ones specifically designed for financial inclusion. They even talk about like AI-powered digital wallets that could help people manage their money, build up their credit scores, and access those microloans, all without needing a traditional bank account.
That's incredible. It sounds like AI could be the key to bridging that gap between the world of traditional finance and the exciting new world of DeFi, opening up a whole universe of financial opportunities for millions of people.
It really has that potential. It's about democratizing access to financial tools and services.
Absolutely. But we can't just focus on the good stuff. We got to talk about the potential risks, too. And to their credit, the paper doesn't shy away from that. They dive into some of the challenges that come with bringing AI into DeFi.
Right? Like any powerful technology, we need to be mindful of how it's used.
Exactly. One thing that really stood out to me was their discussion of data privacy. I mean, we've all heard those stories about AI systems being used in ways that could harm individuals or even entire communities. What are they saying about that?
Well, one of the big concerns is that these AI algorithms need mountains of data to function effectively. And in the context of DeFi, that data could include really sensitive financial information about users, like their transactions, their investment strategies, all that stuff. The paper really emphasizes how crucial it is to build in those privacy-preserving techniques right from the start. We've got to make sure that user data is never misused or exploited.
Okay, so what would those privacy-preserving techniques look like? I mean, DeFi is kind of built on the idea of transparency. How do we protect privacy in that kind of environment?
Well, the paper mentions a few promising approaches. One of them is something called differential privacy. It basically allows AI systems to learn from data without actually seeing the individual data points themselves.
That's pretty cool. So the AI can still do its analysis and make recommendations without compromising anyone's personal information.
Exactly. But there's another big concern that needs to be addressed. We've all seen examples of AI algorithms perpetuating existing biases or even creating new ones. How do we make sure that doesn't happen in the world of finance?
Yeah, that's a big one.
The paper acknowledges that bias is a serious risk, and they propose a few solutions. One is to make sure that the data used to train these AI models is diverse and representative of the people they're meant to serve. Another is to develop ways to audit and monitor these systems so we can identify and fix any biases that pop up.
So it's about building fairness and transparency into these systems from day one. It's not just about the technology itself, it's about the people behind it.
Exactly. We need ethical considerations and responsible AI development to be at the forefront of this whole movement.
Well, it's definitely clear there's a lot to think about as we navigate this new frontier of finance. But the potential benefits are huge, and this paper really lays out a roadmap for the future of DeFi. And it looks like AI is going to play a starring role.
Absolutely. It's going to be a wild ride.
Buckle up, everyone. Coming up next, we'll be diving into the paper's specific predictions about how DeFi and AI could completely reshape the financial landscape in the years to come.
It's not just about improving what we already have.
Yeah.
This paper actually goes a step further. They're predicting some pretty radical changes in how we think about things like money and governance.
Okay, color me intrigued. What kind of radical changes are we talking about here?
Well, one of the most interesting ones is this idea of AI-powered decentralized governance models. They're basically saying that the current way DeFi governance works, with all that community voting, it can be a little slow and clunky, not very efficient.
Yeah, I get that. Getting a whole bunch of people to agree on anything, especially when it comes to complex financial stuff, that can be like herding cats.
Exactly. So the paper suggests that AI could step in and help streamline the whole process. Like imagine an AI that can analyze proposals, predict what might happen if they're implemented, and even figure out where there's already agreement within the community. It could be like reading through all those online forums and chat groups and distilling everything down to the key points.
So instead of spending hours scrolling through endless threads, you could have this AI give you the TLDR version of what everyone's thinking. That's actually pretty cool.
Right. It could save everyone a ton of time and make sure decisions are based on, actual data rather than just whoever shouts the loudest.
But wouldn't that kind of give a lot of power to the AI? Like, how do we make sure it doesn't just become some kind of central authority?
That's a great point. And the paper emphasizes that the goal isn't to replace human governance altogether. It's more about giving people better tools to make decisions. So they're talking about using AI as a facilitator, like a helpful assistant, to help these decentralized communities reach consensus more quickly and transparently.
Okay, that makes sense. As long as the AI is working for us, not the other way around.
Exactly. And the paper talks about how important it is to build trust in these AI-powered governance systems.
Mhm.
Like, they suggest using algorithms that are open and auditable so everyone can understand how the AI is making its decisions. No black boxes here.
Transparency is definitely key, especially when you're dealing with something as important as, how money works. But speaking of transparency, didn't the paper also talk about how DeFi and AI could work together to make finance more inclusive?
Oh, absolutely. That's a big part of their vision. It all ties back to that idea of personalized finance we were talking about earlier.
Right, like everyone gets access to financial services that are tailored to their specific needs. But how does that connect to the bigger picture of financial inclusion? I'm not quite seeing the link.
Well, think about it this way. You've got DeFi,
Yeah.
which is all about decentralization, cutting out the middlemen, and giving people more control over their own finances. And then you've got AI, which can analyze data and provide personalized recommendations. Put those two together, and you've got the potential to create a financial system that's accessible to anyone, regardless of where they live, how much money they make, or whether they have a traditional credit history.
Okay, so it's like instead of going through a bank, which might have all sorts of requirements and fees, people could access financial services directly through these decentralized platforms powered by AI.
Exactly. They're talking about a world where anyone with a smartphone and an internet connection could get a microloan, open a savings account, get insurance, even invest in the market, all tailored to their individual circumstances.
That could literally change millions of lives. And it's like giving everyone the tools to build their own financial future.
That's the idea. And they go even further. The paper suggests that AI could even be used to develop new kinds of digital identity that could help people build credit scores, even if they don't have a traditional credit history. Like imagine if your reputation and your transaction history on a DeFi platform could be used to vouch for you.
Whoa, that's next level. It would be a game changer for people who've been unfairly excluded from the traditional financial system.
Exactly. And the paper argues that this kind of AI-powered financial inclusion wouldn't just help individuals. It could also contribute to economic growth on a much larger scale.
It sounds pretty amazing, but I have to ask, how realistic is all of this? Are we talking about something that could happen in the next couple years, or is this more like a far-off sci-fi future?
Well, to be fair, the paper does say that some of these predictions, like the fully autonomous finance stuff, are still a ways off. But they also believe that a lot of the pieces are already in place. And the rate at which both DeFi and AI are developing, things could move a lot faster than we expect.
So maybe we won't see robots running the financial system tomorrow, but it's clear that AI and DeFi are going to have a major impact on all of us in the years to come.
Definitely. And I think the most important thing is for everyone, not just the tech folks, to start paying attention to this stuff.
Yeah,
We all need to understand what's happening and what it means for our future.
I couldn't agree more. The future of finance is being written right now, and it's a story that's going to involve all of us. So, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what's the key message you want our listeners to take away from all of this?
I think for me, the big takeaway is that this future we're talking about, it's not set in stone. It's not something that's just going to happen to us. We actually have a say in how it all plays out.
That's a really good point. We're not just along for the ride. We can actually help steer the direction of this whole thing.
Exactly. And this paper makes it clear that we're not just passive observers in this whole technological revolution. We have a voice. We have choices to make. It's about being informed. asking those tough questions, demanding transparency from the people building these systems.
Yeah, we need to hold developers and policymakers accountable, make sure they're creating systems that benefit everyone, not just a select few.
Right. It's about making sure these technologies are used for good,
Hmm.
creating a more fair, more inclusive world.
The paper really stresses that, this need for ongoing dialogue and collaboration between everyone involved, the tech folks, the regulators, the community, all of us.
It's not just about building cool tech for the sake of it, right? It's
It's
about building a
this.
better future for everyone.
And that future, it could extend way beyond just the world of finance. We've talked about how AI and DeFi could shake up things like governance and identity. But where else do you see this convergence making waves? What other industries are ripe for disruption?
Oh man, the possibilities are endless. I mean, just think about healthcare, for example. The paper touches on that a bit. Imagine a world where patients actually have control over their own medical data. And not just control, but the ability to use that data to access personalized healthcare services.
Wow, that would be a huge shift. Right now, all that medical data is locked away in these silos, practically inaccessible to the people it belongs to.
Exactly. And AI could come in and analyze all that data,
Hmm.
to help people make informed decisions about their health, predict potential risks, even help with things like clinical trials.
And DeFi could make sure that data is shared securely and transparently between patients, doctors, researchers.
Right. And it could even be used to create new ways to finance healthcare and insurance, maybe even bring down costs and make it more accessible.
Now that would be a game changer. The paper also briefly mentions supply chain management as another area where AI and DeFi could team up.
Yeah, that's a fascinating one. You could use AI to optimize logistics, like predict demand, track products in real time, you name it. And DeFi could handle those secure payments, automate contracts between everyone involved in the supply chain.
Streamlining the whole process from start to finish.
Exactly. Less waste, more efficiency, more transparency. And it could be applied to so many different industries. Think about manufacturing, retail, even fighting counterfeit goods.
So it's not just about making new financial products, it's about reinventing whole systems.
Yeah, using these technologies to create a world that's more efficient, more transparent, more equitable.
That's a future worth fighting for. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground today.
But as always, we encourage everyone to keep exploring these topics, stay curious, and keep those conversations going. The future is out there, and it's being shaped right now. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the incredible world of DeFi and AI.